People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People of Seven on Blue Sky and YouTube, people elsewhere on the internet. My soaps located Purple Butterfly soaps.myshopify.com, my blog Purple Butterfly people.blogspot.com. And this is a video I've made before, but this is an updated version. Friend of mine wants to start soaping, and I figure what better time to go over the safety rules instead of having her look up a really old video. We'll just make a new video and go over all the needed information, especially since this apartment has much better lighting than the original video. The first thing you're going to need is goggles, and if you wear glasses, get a face shield instead. A face shield keeps you from having to fight goggles. I mean, when I first started, I had goggles on top of my glasses. That was crucially uncomfortable because they kept pushing my glasses into my face. And then when that got uncomfortable, automatically you would try to adjust, and that would end up getting soap on your glasses. This protects my entire face. That also takes away the need for a mask. You also need a mask that goes from here, or a half mask, which is like a respirator. But if you use a full face shield, two birds, one stone. Now, when you make the live water, you're still going to put a mask on or hold your breath real quick, because those fumes will still get under the face shield. Okay, next up, you need gloves. Rubber is best, but people like me, allergic to latex, I go with nitrile. If nitrile is not available, go with vinyl. Now, the thing about vinyl is vinyl after a while will start to tighten up on your hands and restrict your movements, and they're not always guaranteed to be waterproof, which means you have to change your gloves more often. Using nitrile, I still end up changing gloves on an average of 3 times per soaping session. With vinyl, double that, okay? You're going to need long sleeves, long pants, boots preferably, otherwise some shoes that don't have a lot of opening. It's like I have a pair of gym shoes that are water weave. A drop of water will go right through it. You don't want that. You want something that's waterproof, because if raw soap drops on your toe, you don't want it going through. You want it blocked as a barrier. So can't have, gym shoes that have an open weave. You want something that preferably is leather, but if you have something that's tightly woven that is waterproof or very protective, that's good too. Okie dokie. And that should cover the basics. Let's see, head, toe, I've mentioned sleeves. You want your outfit or your top to be comfortable. I had this custom made. It's a jersey, but you can also wear an old pajama shirt or a t-shirt, preferably with long sleeves. Whatever is comfortable, because the last thing you want to do while you're making soap is to have to adjust and I'm not comfortable and so forth and so on, because raw soap. And that also includes the bottoms. I'm wearing blue jeans. These are some that fit very well, but if I was having weight issues because I fluctuate, so like if the waistband is too tight or too loose, I'm going to put on some pajama bottoms or some leggings or some sweats, because they're loose fitting and they're comfortable. Trust me, When you start soaping, the last thing you want is to have to adjust something, have soap on your hands, and not realize it, because that results in a burn. Next thing, stomach. Before you soap, before you even start soaping, before you mix your live water, eat something. Because when you start, you can't stop. So if your stomach growls in the middle, you are going to be uncomfortable and a little cranky, hangry, for the better part of 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what design you're making. I mean, there are soaps that I have made, no scent, no color, just mix it up and go, 20 minutes, no problem. But by the same token, I have made very complicated swirls that took an hour and a half just to make the soap. We're talking add the live water to the oils, bring it to trays, separate out colors, add fragrance, make a swirl, make a design with the swirl, put it in the mold, put the soap to sleep, so forth, so on. Total time was over an hour. One of those soaps took me almost 2 hours. That was the chocolate spinning swirl, I do believe. And no. The Imago and the double batch Helix soap, that's what took me 2 hours. But that was a double batch because basically I was making a black soap and a Helix swirl at the same time. So take care of your belly so that way you're not hungry. Turn off your phones or send a message saying, hit me up on voicemail or send a text, because you're not going to be able to answer the phone in that time either. Especially if you have people that go, what you doing? I'm making a soap. Oh, well, so happened. I'm making a soap. I know, but, and they will do that to you and not understand that your hands are busy, you can't really talk, so forth and so on. I have on Bluetooth hearing aids, but I've had this happen when I had the headset on. So now it's like everything is being directed to the conversation. I can't concentrate on making soap. And if I was recording it, I can't record because this format will literally cut off the video while I'm making the video if the phone rings. So take care of that stuff before you start as well. Also, make sure you have the energy to soap. Speaking of which, I'll be right back. Just made myself some coffee. Before you soap, whatever your energy beverage of choice is, make sure that's in your system before you get going. With me, it's coffee. I know people that will throw a Red Bull into the mix. I don't get it. That stuff makes me really energetic, jumpy even. It's like your heartbeat, like, yeah, can't do it. That brings me to another thing. Jewelry. Unless it's something that you literally don't notice is there, remove your jewelry. 90% of times I remove my rings because when I'm changing gloves or when I'm putting on gloves, they will get stuck there. I have been known to soap with my watch, but I've been known to take it off too. And this bracelet, comfortable or not, is never, ever, ever going to leave my hand. If there's an emergency, if I have an issue, if I'm making soap and burn myself or knock myself unconscious or something like that, when 911 comes to scoop me up and take me away, they're going to see all of my emergency information on this emergency tag. So, yeah. The first thing it says is I'm a stroke patient. I'm on blood thinners. I have HIT. I have a platelet disorder called ET, and I'm hearing impaired. Those terms might not actually mean anything to anybody, like, what the heck is HIT? Is heparin-induced thrombocythemia. In other words, if I have another stroke and you try to give me heparin to control it, that's going to cause an issue because heparin drops my platelets down to 0 and I could die. So an emergency professional needs to know that information. This is not always comfortable, but it never leaves my hand. It's made of stainless steel. I ordered it in stainless steel for the specific reason that if I'm soaping and soap gets on it, soap lye is not affected by stainless steel. It is affected by aluminum. Don't get one made out of aluminum or nickel or all these other fake metals out here that are alloys of whatever. Specifically, get stainless steel. Stainless steel lye is not affected by stainless steel, so it's the safest metal if you're going to use metal. That brings me to soap pots. You want HDPE, PP5, high density plastic, or polypropylene. Don't just grab something and go, I'll soap in this. You don't want to soap in glass because certain glass, when the temperature lye gets to can shatter glass. You don't want to soap in aluminum because lye eats aluminum. It will literally dissolve your soap pot. The only soap material made of metal that you can use is stainless steel. So don't use iron, don't use tin, don't use aluminum. It has to be stainless steel. It has to be one of those high density plastics or polypropylene. The materials for stirring, even the stick blender, those are stainless steel. I started with wooden spoons, but found out very quickly lye will eat wood too. So you look up and all of a sudden your wooden spoon looks like someone took it to a war with a grater or whatever because it'll start fraying all the little bits of the wood. You need high density plastic, stainless steel, or silicone. That being said, also your whisk, if you decide to go old school or if your stick blender fails or if you end up for some reason having to stir by hand, your whisk needs to be coated in silicone or specifically get a stainless steel whisk. I'm not talking about the whisk you get at Kroger's that might be painted with something silver. I mean actually made of stainless steel. Mine is made of stainless steel and coated with silicone, bought at a soaping company for that one reason. It's made for making soap. So if all the silicone decided to disintegrate, it's still got a base of stainless steel. Okay, so we covered stirring the pots, the modes. If you get a wooden mold, you need to line it with freezer paper unless it has a silicone liner. I prefer wooden molds because they insulate well. I also have some silicone molds. I do have silicone molds with a liner, but by the same token, my original molds, and I still use those, I'm going to go through and line them shiny side up with freezer paper. Freezer paper, the shiny side is plastic. The soap won't stick to that, and that way you can safely mold, take it out the mold, release the soap from the mold without an issue. Never, ever, ever put it face down. The shiny side has to be pointing towards the soap. The paper side or the dull side will stick to the soap, and then you'll end up peeling the soap off of the paper, and the little bits of paper will get embedded in the soap, and you have to cut it out. It's a headache and a half, trust me. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, wore it out, and burnt the t-shirt, because we're not going back there ever again. Some people for their first soaps have used milk cartons. That's fine, but never ever ever go, oh, I'll use a loaf pan, because two reasons. One, if you use a metal loaf pan and it's not stainless steel, you're going to get a reaction between the lye and the metal, especially if it's aluminum. We've already covered that. And if you get a glass one, it can shatter. And either way, how are you going to get the soap out the pan? See, people don't think about that. You can't just turn it over and go like this. You have to be able to get it out, which is why you put a liner in there. Do not use parchment paper as a lining. It will stick to the soap. It may or may not wick between the soap and the surface, so when you try to get it out of there, it gets stuck. So, yeah. Use a milk carton. Use a mold that's got a silicone liner or freezer paper. Do not use glass. Do not use metal. If you use metal, you definitely need to check what that metal is. Hopefully, it's stainless steel. If not, you're still going to need to line it with freezer paper. And that will become a headache in itself, because most pans that are made of metal are for cooking, and the shape for soap is completely wrong. So that will cause you a different issue. I hate when things decide to try to steal the show while you're doing stuff. Okay, so we covered head to toe, shoes, preferably boots, pants, long, sleeves, face protection, hair. Wear a bonnet, a scarf, tie your hair, or braid your hair down, so that way you can wear a headband or something that is not getting, especially if your hair is fluffy or curly, you don't want little bits of the hair getting in your soap, especially if you're like this or you do this. I'm always in my hair, so when I put on a bonnet, if I go like this and I feel the bonnet, I know, oh yeah, duh, you're soaping. Plus, whatever's on my hands will get on the bonnet instead of in my hair. So, yeah. This should cover everything, but if I miss anything, feel free to put it in the comments. Make sure you're not wearing your jewelry. This necklace, this is made of stone, so it can't react to soap. But the string, this is some acrylic string that I just literally knitted myself a chain, because the chain I had broke. But what if I had a scratch or whatever, and I went like this, I got soap on my hands, now it's on and it's just sitting there getting hotter and burning me. Also, another important safety tip, if you accidentally get a splash or get some of the raw soap on your clothing or your skin, you need white vinegar. Vinegar neutralizes soap, or specifically that acid, vinegar is an acid, neutralizes the base, which is the soap. A lot of people go, no, it increases the heat and blah, 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 and they're giving the technical terms of the chemical reaction, but the end result is that base, which is lye, that will burn, gets neutralized by the vinegar. it might increase the temperature while it makes a neutral format. So basically, you have acid, base, neutral, which is why vinegar is used. The only other acid that can neutralize lye is not safe for human skin, which is why we use vinegar. Okay? When I made the good soap, my very first cold processed soap, I had goggles and glasses on. After the soap traced, I took the goggles off, noticed the problem, it was separating, so now I had to take the stick blender and beat it back up, splash. And I went like this. Ooh, that was close. And realized I got raw soap in my eye. Now, two things. One, rinsing raw soap out your eye with water is not going to work. Vinegar works. And I literally had to take a little bowl of vinegar and put it in my eye, which actually burnt worse than the lye. But I have vision. I can see. So, yeah. Don't be me. When you're soaping, your protective gear stays on at all time, whether it's your goggles, whether they're uncomfortable or not. Even if there's a splash on the goggles, find a paper towel or a toilet paper, go like this. It might make it blurry, but you're protected. Or like I use a full face shield, that's why. I can wipe off a shield. I can't necessarily wipe off my eyeballs. And then the only way to neutralize would be vinegar. And trust me, from personal experience, vinegar in your eye is not a pleasant thing. It's not a good time. It's not something you want to do. Okay? And then I get, shall we say, self-conscious. I think about that and I automatically rub my eyes. That's another thing. While you're soaping, if your gloves decide to pop or loosen or whatever, or you got a lot of raw soap on your gloves, you might need to change your gloves. And that's fine. I change my gloves all the time while I'm soaping. But here's the proper way of changing your gloves. Okay, I'm going to put these on. In fact, that's why I had these gloves over here, and then I forgot. Okay. Let's do a visual demonstration, okay? This is nail polish. I am not bleeding. But say, for instance, you need to remove your gloves. You use the airborne open wound method. In other words, if you have to change gloves and you've touched something that can be airborne or bloody or whatever, if you've ever taken a first aid class, this is old hat to you. But if you've never heard of this, this is why we do it this way. You're going to take the glove, you're going to take your finger and get like right at the edge of that glove and pull it up. Okay? Keep it, don't let it touch your skin after that point. Pull it off, and then take this glove, do the same thing, and pull it over the first glove, and then you pull it through the middle where the inside of those gloves met before you take that off. Now whatever was on those gloves are completely contained inside, and your hands are clean, none of it touched. That's why we use that method. If you ever had to take off your gloves, do it that way. Then right through the middle. This has been, I can't think of anything else. So this has been P+7 on Twitter Nope. This has been People of Seven on Blue Sky and YouTube. People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps located at purplebutterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog, purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that like button. Bye now. I did think of two other things. Make sure your pipes are cleaned out before you start. It's right up there with eat something. If you have to go potty, one or two, do it first. Don't get in the middle of soaping and now you got to go potty because you won't be able to. Trust me on that. I mean, that is problematic because of the gloves, the raw soap, and you know doing what you have to do, then come back and putting the gloves back on, and you're in the middle of soaping. Yeah, it's a problem, so do that first. The other thing is make sure that you have dedicated soap pots, dedicated utensils, dedicated whatever. Okay, good example, these are my measuring bowls just for soaping. Okay, I have an entire utensil container just for soaping. I mean, the spoons, the measuring cups, the spatulas. I even have a silicone brush just for soaping. That's the silicone coated stainless steel whisk I was telling you about. There's actually two of those, one big, one small. Up there are my soaping dishes and my modes. Those are separate from my regular pots and pans, my regular dishes. My dishes are for food. My soap pots are for soaping. Keep those separate. Okay. One rule I had when I was at my mom's house and my family was there and I was making soap, they would come in, get something out of the silverware drawer, throw it in, while I'm making soap or whatever. They might throw a spoon in with, my soaping dishes. And I told everybody, now that belongs to the soap. What do you mean? It belongs to the house. No, it belongs to the soap. You can wash the dishes and wash all the soap and stuff off, but I had dedicated soap pots, dedicated soap spoons, dedicated everything. So if it touched the soap, it belonged to the soap. So keep those separate because the last thing you want is, like, say for instance, somebody decide to stick the dishes in a pot. I start dishwater when I start soaping, and I tell people, now here I don't have to do that because I'm the only one here, but I tell people, I'm making soap, do not touch that dishwater. If you have dishes that need to go in the sink or whatever, put it over there on the stove. I'll get to it later. Because if it went in the soap water, it belonged to the soap. So, yeah, that keeps you from having something that possibly got stuck to it that might not have washed out or didn't get washed well. And I mean, because we're working with lye and oils and so forth and so on, the end product is safe, but while you're working with that product, lye is active for 48 hours. You make the soap, you let it cure overnight or a couple of days before you can even cut it, and then you let it cure for 3 to 6 weeks. So, yeah, there's a reason for all those. Yeah, and if something that didn't belong to the house, well, something that belonged to the house got in the soap, it no longer belongs to the house. It belongs to the soap. So, yeah, this has been People of 7 on Blue Sky and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps located at purplebutterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog, purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that like button. Bye now.